Well, hello, everybody. It is the day after Thanksgiving, also known as Black Friday. So we're doing kind of a little bit of a special window shopping this time. Remember, this is where we take a look at cool houses that are for sale in and around the Southern California area. Today, our home is in Los Angeles, but this is going to be a bit different. This is not a home that was built and designed by an architect. In fact, it is a tract home. And not only is it a tract home, but it is an early 1950s tract home that looks the same as probably almost a million other houses here in Southern California. And what we're going to talk about today is ways to make a tract home not look like a crappy tract home. And I'm kind of excited to do this. I've thought about doing a video like this for a while. It's been kind of a weird week, not a lot of new listings coming on, but I think this one is really a great example of somebody figuring out how to do that. And I want to talk about some of the methods that they employed because they might be useful to you. So let's go ahead and get started. This is 1156 South Highland Avenue in Los Angeles. It's kind of located near the Mid-Wilshire district. It's actually a very desirable and accessible part of town. There is 2,400 square feet total here, but that is all not in one property. This is actually 3 homes on a lot. So there's a front house and then 2 other rentable units that have all been remodeled, which is also kind of a cool, unique little bit of a hack. So when you look at this price that says $2.4 million, do not be super scared. You do not have to bear the cost of that all on your own if you like this property, because you can have tenants who can help with that mortgage. Now, this one is not our listing. It is listed by Alice Cannington with the agency. But as I have said multiple times before, if you are interested in a home, going into there without your own representation, somebody who has a fiduciary duty to you, is like going to court where the other side has a table of attorneys and you have no one. Why would you do that? That's not smart. We don't recommend it. So if this is a home that you like, absolutely, we'd love to work with you and represent you as a buyer exclusively. So let's go ahead and talk about this house for a second. So this is a 1950 bungalow, right? And these homes were built all over Southern California. Gosh, probably between the late 1940s and maybe about the mid 1950s, right? And that might not sound like a very wide period of time, but there was a lot of home building that happened in Southern California in those years. In fact, the entire city of Lakewood was built during those years. And what happens if you're looking for an architectural gem, but you come across a home in a great neighborhood and everything else about it really works for you? It just doesn't have a lot of unique design charm. Well, that's what we're going to talk about with this house, because I think they've done a good job of giving this home a personality when it definitely was not born with one. And so the very first thing that I want you to notice when you look at this is that they made this front yard actually mean something on this house. Normally you have what? You've got like some gravel, you've got some grass or whatever. They created this cool little low fence. They copied the detail up there on the porch. It's not a pattern we normally see here in Los Angeles. So already off the bat, this home doesn't look the same at the curb. And then I want to also point out their color choice on this home, right? Color is one of those things that is really free to you, and it's a differentiating factor. It costs just about the same to paint a home a boring set of colors as it does an interesting one. And I actually really kind of like this color combination. I'm sure when they were picking it, it felt like it was a little bit of a leap, but it actually works, I think, in person. Number one, they picked a color of the house that actually blends in with the roof. And I think they did that on purpose. These are not great looking roofs. And by doing this, it kind of reduces that contrast with the roof. And then they picked this really cool canary yellow color for the trim. We just don't see this color combination very often. I bet it's the only one on the street that looks like this. And this is a home that you have to notice as you drive by. And I think that's the biggest problem with homes like these, is that you don't notice them at all. Also, they did keep something that is cool on these houses, and that is the original wood windows. They're a bit of a differentiating factor, and they actually kept them on this front facade. So, you've actually got something to paint and something that has a little bit of what detail this home didn't come with a lot of detail, but that was one of the things it did come with, and they're choosing to emphasize that, right? So now we have kind of a better view, and you can see the other units sort of heading back here as you go back in this lot. They've got parking spaces set up. They also have a good amount of lighting, and they actually made this little front porch area. We see these on houses all the time. This one actually looks like you might sit there, but it's when you come inside that I think you really start to see some of the things that they did with this home to make this home unique. So one of the problems with these houses is they tend to have low ceilings and choppy rooms, and this house has neither of those things. By restructuring the roof, so they kept the outer shell of the roof, but they restructured this. I have no doubt that cost some money. I think it was totally worth it in this house, because instead of getting a low 8-foot ceiling that just goes straight back with walls that chop everything up, they've created a vast, open, kind of a loft-like space inside this home. Number one, it makes the house feel way bigger, right? But number two, it actually gives you some visual interest. So it's not just another room with 4 walls. And I think that's really important on these houses, because that is the biggest problem. You walk in and it's a room with a window and a floor and 4 walls, and that's pretty much it. By doing this, they've actually given some identity to this space. Like, you'll remember, if you go to a dinner party in this house, you're going to remember this house. And notice this kitchen is now open. Typically in these homes, this wall would have extended all the way out here, all the way across, and there would have been a tiny little opening to go into this kitchen. Now this is a wide open space in this kitchen that they've actually created here. And part of that was enabled by restructuring this roof, right? Because you don't have to worry about those interior load-bearing walls when you restructure the roof with an idea. So there's kind of a lot of wins, even though that's an expensive thing to do. There's kind of a lot of positives that come from doing that. The other thing that they've done here that I think is important is they've actually shown a little bit of restraint in their color palette on the inside, right? These are tones that are going to work with a lot of things. I mean, I'm glad they picked a wood tone cabinet. I think that's better than a white cabinet to do this. But they've really kind of set a design style and picked a theme. And I think that's something that's important to do if you have a tract home, because typically in most homes that were built in tracts, they didn't pick a theme at all. And the reason they didn't pick a theme at all, they just went generic as possible, is because they wanted it to appeal to everyone. And that's how you end up with white cabinets, right? And by actually picking a little bit of this kind of maybe darker with some kind of earth natural tones, modernist theme, yes, is that on trend right now? It is, right? I mean, is this the most adventurous theme they could have gone with? No, but it's a cohesive theme that they carry throughout the property. And it gives you this sense that somebody somewhere made a deliberate decision of how they wanted this house to feel. And this is kind of looking back through this kitchen, dining, and living space. I mean, really, again, what was a tiny little kitchen has been transformed into an open space that you actually want to spend time in, right? Like, I actually want to spend time in a space like this, just looking at it. In the bedrooms, they kept, again, the original wood windows. Efficient? No, but I think from a visual standpoint, I think that's one of the few original features this home had that were worth keeping. They didn't raise the ceilings in these secondary areas, but they did kind of go with, again, they tried to give this home a little bit of personality. And I'm going to show you here. One of the ways that they did this was with kind of a very different tub and a different kind of tile than we're used to seeing. It matches the trend, it matches the theme, but this isn't something that we're used to seeing, in a home. And then finally, they did something else here that I like, is they solved a problem with homes from this era. So one of the things you'll notice about tract homes pretty universally when you look at them is that they are clearly cost engineered. And what I mean by cost engineering, and a difference between maybe a modernist home or especially a modernist custom home, is that they didn't develop features that were unique for that individual siting or lot location. And so on this home, what they've done is they've taken out what this window would have been the same on both of these walls. They've created it as a door to give outside space, because one of the problems with these homes is that typically there is no exterior access, or not very good exterior access from homes of this era. So they solved that by adding exterior access to all of the bedrooms in the main house. They've also gone ahead and defined outdoor zones, right? Instead of just making this a yard and a whatever space, they've given us a reason to be in those locations. So here on this side of the house, we've got an outdoor dining area. It's kind of shady, which I like. This is, by the way, the second unit that we are walking into. They kept the same cohesive theme. They did not spring for raised ceilings in these secondary units on the basis they're probably going to be rentals. But they also kept kind of the same kitchen cabinets and a cohesive theme, albeit a bit smaller, right? And again, here in this back bedroom, they use this as an opportunity to create outside backyard access where there really wasn't any. And that is the biggest complaint on these types of homes, is that you don't have that. In this one, we've got a large vanity where they've gone in and created a double. But again, same kind of materials that we're going through. This is that backyard space. So it's interesting, even though this is 3 homes on a lot, we still have outdoor area and outdoor space and zones. And I kind of love that for this house. And then this is the final unit here. Again, same cabinetry, same front door, trying to create a bit of a cohesive space. This one does have a raised ceiling in here, probably because this is an especially small living room and they wanted it to feel larger. So smart move there, integrated washer and dryer. But my point on this is the biggest thing you could do to one of these homes is do things to make it memorable, whether that's colors, whether that's altering a roof line, and then also create functionality that is specific to the site. Make it look like somebody gave thought about how this exact home is going to work, not just how homes, not just the lowest common denominator make every house and they never work and just pick the easy way out. I think when you start doing those bespoke details, that's really what kind of kicks these kind of houses up to another level, is when you're able to do that. So, if you find yourself in a situation where, as much as you would love that purist mid-century modern home, the fact is we all have constraints on our home purchases, right? We all want design, we all want these things, but we also need homes that function for our lifestyle, for our location, for our commute, for our families. These are all important elements, and sometimes we can't always go with the most design-centric option. And there are ways to add cool and unique design to just about every single home to make something that was ordinary extraordinary. So, don't give up. Don't think that just because it isn't something that came out of a magazine that you can't make it something special. Anyhow, happy Black Friday, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And then as always, if you are looking to purchase or sell a unique home in Southern California, absolutely, we would love to work with you. Reach out to us so we can represent your interests. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you again real soon.